Hey, Ra.
Ursula, is that you?
Yes, how are you?
Good. I wasn't even sure I had the right link. Yeah, I can't find anything lately. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I saw you earlier by Potbelly's.
Oh yeah, so it was. Look, I went up there to get a cup of coffee, right? And
Uh-huh.
I just wanted to sit out for like an hour and read in the sun. Couldn't even find a damn seat. It is crazy out here.
Yeah, it's beautiful though. It's beautiful out.
Yeah. I tell you, I'm exhausted, Ursula. I am absolutely exhausted.
Yeah, I hear you. I'm telling you. It's been a lot going on lately.
It is a lot going on.
Yes. Yes, indeedy.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go. Look, I gotta go grab me something to drink. All right,
Okay.
I'll be right
All
back.
right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, Preeta just called me. I had called her because I was looking for the URL, but I found it. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot I was muted.
Yeah, I do it all the time. I just got out of another meeting. We're interviewing. We're looking for a new executive director for the Brookland Village. So we've been interviewing candidates.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you've been quite busy.
Yeah, it's everything. It's that. It's been talking to people about all of this nonsense.
Right. 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 Did you see the what you gonna call it? The email about the bike lanes and them wanting to do to co-host a single member district meeting?
Yeah. If you read it, I had it. Did you see? She said me. I had a talk with her. So that's the email that you responded to, and I told her that we will contact her after
Right.
we meet. And then you responded that the same thing, that you'll
Yeah.
contact her after we meet. So yeah, we're good. They know that. D Dot knows that because I wanted to talk to I wanted to bring Preeta and Colleen in on the conversation as well because and I see Preeta just joined. Colleen, is that you? You there, Colleen? Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I'm here on the phone.
is
I'll
the
get on
bike
the
lanes.
Hey, good evening.
Yeah, so we'll go over all of that, but primarily they want to talk to us, but I want us to talk to Preeta and Colleen as well because Colleen has transportation committee and
Right.
and the bike lane stops right before Preeta's district. But
Right.
also the whole idea is to get people off of Monroe and hopefully get at 12th Street and travel them down Newton or Lawrence or one of the streets, which would run through all of our district, your district.
Exactly.
So we want to, but also means that we have to have that slow street conversation again. That slow street safe
Right.
street. Yeah. So yeah, but we got a lot to unpack with that. So we can come up with some dates, and hopefully it'll work for the majority of us.
Okay, cool.
Okay, great.
Sounds like a winner.
Sounds like a plan. I think we have a quorum, Chair and Secretary.
Am I the only one with video
Okay.
on? I'm going to turn
No,
mine on.
no, I'm turning mine on. I'm sorry.
No, I had mine off because I was still working.
No, you're fine. I wasn't going to force anyone to turn it on. I was just going to.
No, I was on here by myself, and then Brock came on, then he stepped away, and then I said, okay. So then I finally finished up a little bit. How's
Great.
everybody doing?
Good, Commissioner.
All right, I think we're ready.
All right.
I lost my pen.
Do you want me to do roll call?
Yes, ma'am, please.
All right. Commissioner Carly.
I am here.
All right. Higgins. We have
Present.
Commissioner- I am here. Commissioner Amin is here.
Present.
And that is Commissioner Costello on the phone.
Present.
All right. We are here and ready to begin.
Okay, so we have a quorum. Does anybody have anything pressing before we start? And we can just go on down with our agenda. I'm sorry. I was trying to give me 1 second.
Of course.
I have an echo.
Oh, I think it's because Commissioner Curley is also signed in as you. So one of you would have to be muted at all times. Unless Commissioner Curley, if you're able to sign out, I'm not sure if there's a way to do it without leaving the meeting. I don't think there is.
Okay. All right. Is that okay? That's better. All right. So we'll go ahead to Commissioner. The Secretary. Do you have anything that you need to report out before we go to our treasurer report?
I do not.
Okay. Commissioner, is there anything that we need to do as a commission body or any action items that we need to get taken care of?
Yeah, there are a couple of things. I just want to update everyone. Our current balance and our available balance, they're the same. It's $7,061.51. And Commissioner Pereira, you and I need to schedule a meetup to pay April's bills. Invoices are ready to go, so we just have, it's up to us just to find a time. We couldn't coordinate our schedules last week for everyone else who's listening.
That was my fault.
Yeah, I wasn't going to throw you under the bus, Commissioner, so I'm glad you took onus of that. Thank you. I got your back, Prita.
Oh, thank you.
And I just want to thank you, Commissioner Higgins, because those voided checks were exactly where you told me they would be. And so I went through the stuff and found the voided checks that were in question. And
yes.
Also, we are still gonna have to put some stop payments out on some checks. That one particular check, Commissioner Higgins, that September check that was lost by the landlord.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to stop payment on that one since we can't find it, and we can go over that in detail later because I saw it, and I'm gonna wait till we get to Commissioner Costello's points about reimbursements and stuff, because I do have some comments about reimbursements and stuff like that. But I think that can wait till we have that conversation. Okay.
Well, since we're doing the treasury portion, we can speak to reimbursements. So if there is something that you had to
Sorry.
purchase and it falls within the line items that we have, yes, you can be reimbursed as long as you present a receipt. Now, in terms of the budget, I know we had a certain budget put in place. I don't know how tight that budget is or how much wiggle room there is. So, because I don't know how much is on each line item, I know we can move some of those things around. But yes, if you purchase something, we can reimburse as long as you have the receipt.
Yeah.
Is there any guidelines that we should think about is it we can purchase something up to a certain dollar amount and then get reimbursed, and after a certain dollar amount it requires like chair approval or something? I just want to make sure, like, if I go in and decide I'm going to do like super glossy expensive copies instead of,
I get
you know, like yeah, so just thinking about a threshold if we think that's appropriate to implement.
I think that would be, because we have to also remember that we have 5 commissioners. So if they have to utilize an expense, we want to ensure that whatever is implemented, that it can be spread across all 5 commissioners.
Right. So yeah,
I think the limitation would be a good idea.
yeah. I think thanks, Commissioner Higgins. Yeah, I what I'm going to suggest is that we hold off on anything that you have to purchase.
Mm-hmm.
Bring it to the body and let's have a discussion, because the budget is going to be tighter than what we're used to. And because, as Commissioner Higgins knows, there's a couple of things that we had not had to pay for in the past that we're going to have to pay for. Like, we're going to have to every month pay for copies of every check that goes to our account. That's going to cost us about $5 per check. We're going to have to pay for all. We're going to have to like stop payment on several checks that were never cashed because they were lost by the payee. So it's going to be a couple of things, and I don't know how much all of that's going to take away from our budget. And I'm going to do some restructuring. We're going to set up a petty cash soon. So I say to you, commissioners, just don't go out and spend your money on stuff unless we talk about it right now, because it's a possibility that we might not have the money in order to reimburse you. And let us straighten out this budget first, and then after we get that straightened out, we'll be able to see where we are. I mean, so Dawn has come in contact with COVID, Ursula, and so she's waiting for her test results. So we didn't have our weekly meeting and this week to straighten out everything. And there's some things that she needs to do that has very little to do with us, but it is some things that we made mistakes on, and these mistakes go way back. And I think Ursula knows what I'm talking about when I say that. And that they need to find in the office that should have been found, and they're working on that now, because things just don't add up. We have money and we have approval to pay our normal bills, but it's still not basically what's it called, the reconciliation but part of the budget isn't adding up, and we have to figure out why we're off, and that's going to take us going back years to find out where that is.
Can I ask you why we have to pay $5 per check?
Yeah, good. That's a great question. That is because feedback here. That is because the office of the ANC now says that they want us, and it's not just us. It's every commission, every ANC in the city has to show images of the checks that they write, and the bank that we bank with, PNC, that's the charge. The charge is $5 per check, and I think it's more if we get them to do it. And the next challenge we have is that some of the checks that we're looking for images for, we can't even find images, and that's not on us. That's on the bank. So I don't know. So I have to have another meeting with the bank to figure out what do we do. Say if we're requesting a check from, let's say, July of 2020, and if I put it into the system and it says no image available, so I have to work with the bank to see what do we do when that happens, and that keeps coming up a lot. More questions?
So when the checks are written and they clear through the bank, how do we know they clear through the bank? Just by the statement, so they don't include a copy of the check with it, front and back?
Yeah, they do include that's a really great question. They include a copy of the check with it. So I tried several things to keep us from paying that fee. Like I was telling Ursula, I tried screenshotting it, taking a screenshot and then downloading it, and that worked for a few checks. And then we got to a point where there was just no images for the check. I mean, when you click on the check and ask for the image, it comes up no image available. And I showed Don this the other day. Don and I went over it, and so now I have to go back to the bank and talk to them to figure out what do we do. Can they find the image of the check? And if they can't, what is the ONC going to, the office of the ANC going to say? But and Ursula, you were in this meeting. They said we tried everything to get out of trying to pay this $3 to $5 for these checks, and Don told us like, hey, it's I know no one wants to pay it, but you guys have to pay that. You guys have to pay for images of your checks from this point on. We need to see that in order to figure out what ANCs are doing across the city.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the response. So are you saying the bank does not, when a check clears the bank is not sending you front and back of the check?
I can get an image for some of the checks by clicking on it, but I can't get images for all of the checks. So I might have to do a request anyway.
So are you saying that's online banking as opposed to, because I think if it's not online banking, then they do the checks automatically. That's what I was asking.
Yeah, we have online banking, Gail. We do have online banking, and that is online banking.
Do we have any images on the bank statements, the paper statements that come in?
No.
Okay.
Well, so are we doing online banking and paper statements as well?
Yes. Yeah, we have
to receive the paper statements according to the office of ANC. Now, when we were trying to get everything reconciled with Dawn, she was stating that we could do the online banking and try to pull down all of the other information that we weren't able to receive through our statements. And so that's why, and the office of ANC previously, we weren't able to do online banking, but now we can. And that was one of the ways we were able to obtain some of the images that we were missing. But when we went online, some of the checks that we were trying to get the images of weren't present online. So that's why Rob was saying he needs to go back to the bank, because maybe they can see or get their microfiche or something that they can utilize to try to get the images of the ones we haven't been able to obtain.
Can everyone see this? So this is an example of one that I requested when I first started doing it. I requested it from the bank, and this is what they will send you. This came into our office. I pulled it from the office, And then I had the brilliant idea. They charged me $5 for this. They charged us $5 to get this piece of paper. We need checks most of 2020. That's going to take a lot of money. And so when I thought, that's when I came up with the idea, why don't I just go in and screenshot all of them? And then that's when I discovered that all the images just aren't available. This is one of the first ones that I did. And this is from March. This is the last one that we wrote, Prita. This is March 12th, 2021.
So the $5 is charging is once the checks hit the bank. So that's where you're going to request the images from the bank. Is that the $5 charge?
Yeah, it's $5. Whether it's going to be a charge whether we do it online or whether the bank does it. I think I thought it was $3 if we do it online, $5 if the bank does it. But when I went online to do it, online charged us $5 to get this piece of paper. And we write about 4 checks a month. So 3 to 4 checks a month, give or take. So that's basically $15 to $20 a month that we're talking about, just in additional bank fees that we're going to add to our that has to be calculated into our budget from this point on. And so if we start, whether it's grant checks or reimbursement checks or whatever it is, yeah, that's going to eat up our budget pretty fast. Because to be honest with you, we have a very small budget compared to some other ANCs.
Ron, I've got a quick question.
Yes, Colleen.
If sorry, I'm doing my audio by phone, video on my computer. If we do have an expense coming up, like, I think you and I had maybe talked about this a couple months ago about doing door hanger tags for residents so that they know how to reach me. If I'm okay with just paying that out of pocket for now and then waiting until the budget gets reconciled at some later date, I assume that I could still get reimbursed, if it's later this year or sometime next year. I assume as long as it's within the current term, that would be fine, or does it have to be within the fiscal year?
Yes. Like Ursula, see, I would try to keep it fiscal year quarters. So I think fiscal year, I think we could just create some problem. So yeah, but Colleen, yes, you could be reimbursed once we if you provide a receipt. Yeah, but like Ursula also said that we have to look at that budget, because say if you spend, let's say $200 or $500 just on door hangers for your SMD, that's a lot of money just for one SMD when there's 5 of us. We have to figure out how much each of us have to do this stuff. Like each of us have $500 in grant money that we can issue out. But again, I'm cautioning us to hold off on grants right now till we figure this out. And it will be figured out very shortly.
Okay. Do you think, like, maybe by our next Cal, we'll have a better sense of whether we can go ahead with expenses?
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, like you said, things that we're also at the mercy of the office of the ANC, because there's some things that we can't do. It's some things that they have to do. I mean, like you said, Dawn's just been exposed to COVID, so now she's out. So it's just a few things that we don't have control over.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Do we still have active the $100 per commissioner that we can use for door hangers, copying? Well, not copying because we have a copier, but for miscellaneous things like that. Since in the meantime, while we kind of figure out how much, we actually going to, whether it's going to increase or decrease. And I think that was per month, if I can remember. And those commissioners who did not use their $100 allowed the other commissioners to be able to afford them that opportunity to use theirs.
I never saw that in our budget. I never saw that we had $100 per month to use from the and remember, I haven't done the past budgets, so I don't know anything about there being $100 a month. So there's 5 of us at $100 a month.
Yeah, that was when we were using master print, when we did not have a printer. We was all said that, okay, we'll have $100 per month when I was going over there doing a lot of printing. And that was the what we came up with, so that it would be fair to everyone.
Ursula, can you talk to that?
I'm sorry. Before we had printing privileges within our office, we were utilizing printers to do a lot of the printing that we, needed. So that went up under our printing budget. But since we have a printer within in-house, we haven't exercised that, or we haven't really even discussed it. So that wasn't something that was in our bylaws or regulations or anything like that. That was an unspoken to assist us in being able to reach our constituents and share information. But again, since then, we do have a new printer where we're able to do mass copying and other things within our office. So, but that was the reason that we had that in place.
Right. That's
to
a
the
good
extent
point.
that I'm.
Wait, one second,
All right, go
Colleen.
ahead.
That's a good point, because any money that we would have used for that, we're now using to pay our monthly printer bill.
Printer, yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Do we have internet yet, so that we can maybe be creative in using the printer that we have?
Yeah, I think that's on the agenda, right, Preeta or Colleen? Somebody was in charge of that.
And when we finish, so is there another question for the treasurer? Because we can move right in and talk about the hotspot or what
Yeah.
have you for the internet service.
So real quick, the expense that I was thinking of was just buying the paper door hangers themselves and then printing it out at the office, since we already have a printer. They have like a template that you can buy, kind of like, you can buy business card templates, for instance. So I think it was like $120 or something. So I can pay that out of pocket, and we can deal with reimbursement later if everyone thinks that that's fine to do while we get all of the details sorted out.
Good. Sorry.
I can hear you, Frida. Okay, there you go.
I just had one question about the treasurer's report on the bank balance. I know that Commissioner Carley, I think at our public meeting last time, had mentioned that she had a reimbursement. Does the $7,061 reflect the reimbursement for Commissioner Carley, or not yet?
No, I haven't received Commissioner Carley's receipts like Commissioner Higgins informed her. So Commissioner Carley, if you just take those receipts, you can leave them in the office. You can give them to the secretary, and then I will take that and I will process it through. That was for your phone, correct?
Yes, that is for the phone. And also, I think I brought up, and I don't know if you were available at the time, about purchasing the phone so that they don't continue to charge my credit card outright, and then present that basically. I don't even know if they charged it yet, but I do know I have one charge so far. $33, I think, is something like that. But about purchasing the phone outright and getting reimbursed for that.
So what you can do is just get, if you can just, I'm getting feedback. Can you guys hear me? Okay. So, what you can do is just like I did for the other phones that we paid for, your phone would be a newer phone. So we just need to get an email, something with the payoff amount for the phone like we did the others. Now, if yours is fairly new, then we need to talk about what that amount is, because going back to what Commissioner Amen stated, you know, we have to make sure we have the money. And since you have a newer phone or a newer account, that means that you will be paying more for the device. So if that means that we have to continue to rent it for a couple of months until we're able to pay the full amount, we may need to do that, but we still need to know what that payoff amount is, and they'll be able to tell you, because that's how I did with the other phones. Okay. Commissioner Pacquiao?
While we are on the topic of phones, and if we are going to be looking into our contracts, I believe from what I could see on the bills that at least the phone that I have that Commissioner Makembe had prior to me, I believe is out of contract. And if that is the case, I would like to volunteer to turn my phone back in. I use Google Voice on my phone and I have a separate number. And there's a line item, there's a couple of line items that Commissioner Costello had put on the agenda, one being an internet platform that I would prefer to use those resources to, only because that would make my life considerably easier. So I don't know what the process is for turning in the phone. This also may be, I don't know if this is helpful for Commissioner Carley, if there is this additional phone instead of having to buy a new one. As far as I can tell, it works just fine. And I have the necessary chargers, etc. So I wanted to put that out there as well.
So that's an option, Commissioner Carley, as well. And that would cut the expense.
That
And
would
I
have been
think
nice a month or so ago.
Yeah, my apologies. I don't think I had the phone a month ago. I got it from Commissioner, well, maybe it was a month ago. Sorry. I didn't realize that was, it's been kind of sitting there off for a while. So
thank you. So you have the floor, Commissioner Pacquiao.
Yes. So on the topic of internet, after being in the office with Commissioner Amin the prior, I think it's a few weeks ago at this point, I realized that a hotspot would not actually work for us. Quick kind of overview explanation is basically there's not, at least for Verizon, and it looked like the same for the provider that that Commissioner Amin had, but there's not a ton of cell reception in there. And that's what the hotspots use to kind of make it, is it uses cell reception to get the internet. So since there's not, I think I was getting barely 1 bar, it would mean that our internet would also be at its basically weakest signal point. So have been looking into different options around internet. I think the average cost, since we're not going to be using it very much, is about $50 a month. There are some additional fees that can come into play depending on if we want to rent a modem or buy a modem. Over the long term, buying a modem makes more sense because it's usually about $150, $100 up front. But then you're not paying the $10 to $12 fee to Comcast every month, and you own it outright. There's also another option that I have an email out to Comcast, or Xfinity, I guess they're called now, is that they have launched a new prepaid platform, which, if it works out the way I'm hoping to, would actually be the perfect option for us. It's almost like, kind of like the prepaid cell phone. You have a bank of time, or in this case, it would be a bank of megabits per download. And basically, once you use it, you refill it. I think given how infrequently the office is used, that is probably going to be our best bet. The other thing I was going to just inquire, I'm not entirely sure about our relationship with the landlords or the other business owners in the office, but given how small that building is, there's also, if there is other internet, I'm assuming that at least the residents or another business may also already have internet. We could also talk about some type of agreement to share the expenses with them, given, again, how infrequently we'll be using it relative to them. So those are some options on the table. We can definitely strike up a separate contract if we think that that is the best way to go, but wanted to bring forth all of those to the commission.
I remember that internet that they're using for the building, it didn't work well in that room because it was wireless.
Okay. And we can try, sometimes there's like something called a modem extender. It basically just strengthens the wireless output. So you have like a little box that almost looks like a modem, but it basically just extends the strength of it. If that's the case, that would be a super easy fix. Again, it's like a one-time cost, and that box is maybe $250 total, but probably less than that. So I think the question is almost to that budget point is like, how much do we realistically, I know we want to kind of spend as little as possible. My hope, my original thought is if this prepaid internet option comes back the way we hope it does, that would be the best thing. It's just, we use it. When we're done, we can refill it, and we can evaluate if somehow we are blowing through that time really quickly, then we can decide that it might be better for a flat rate. But I think that might be the easiest way up front. And then the secondary is, yeah, if there's a way for us to, given the, if there's a relationship there, to talk to the other folks there, I think it still might come out cheaper for us. Just, we're not going to be using it all the time. So it feels silly to have to spend $50 to $65, depending on modem cost per month for something that's used maybe once or twice a month. But I'm cheap, so don't mind me.
Yeah, I don't think we're always going to be using it once or twice a month. I think eventually we will end up back in the office.
Okay.
And I also, I'm a little skeptical about sharing with our housemates.
Okay.
And that's just me, but this is up for a vote. These are my thoughts. And the other thing is that about us having this, I think that we could run into a problem with an equal distribution of the use of the internet.
Yes.
Yeah, because obviously some people use the office and the printer more than other people. And so I don't think that anyone wants to go into the office and think they're going to print or work or whatever, and then realize that they can't do that because we've blown through our allotted amount of, gigabytes or whatever we're getting there. So, I mean, those are just my thoughts, but I'm interested to hear what everyone else thinks. And I want to throw in, that's the problem. That was one of the challenges we had with having a budget and printing at Global Print Masters. That's why we decided that we would have a office printer, because some people were printing like, $20 worth a month of, stuff. And then other commissioners were printing, hundreds of dollars worth a month of stuff. So those are some challenges I think that we need to be mindful of.
So if that's the case, I would recommend, and there might be some additional upfront costs. So Commissioner Amin, we can wait until you give us the green light for expenses. But there are, if we're willing to prepay for Xfinity, I think we can get it down. It's $29 a month, but we don't have the option as ANC to do any type of like automatic debits, correct? Everything needs to be a check. Okay.
Yeah.
So then it would be an additional $10. So $39 a month if we agree to a 12-month agreement with Compass, and then whatever additional cost is for our modem rental if we choose to rent it instead of buy, which might just be the easiest. So we're looking, I'd say including taxes and fees, probably $75 a month. And that's kind of the basic internet package, but
Yeah.
everything, taxes, fees, etc.
And that's why I caution you about going out spending your money on a lot of stuff that you might want to get reimbursed on, because if we do pick up this expense along with all of the bank fees, you can see what that's going to do to our budget. We can still make budget, but we won't have as much money sitting in that budget to reimburse on things like door knockers and all those things that we may want to do. And Don suggested to Ursula and me that we petition the office of the ANC and tell them that they need to find us a bank that won't charge us fees because we're government, right? You remember that conversation, Ursula? You muted.
Yeah, I've been trying to, but yeah, that's exactly what she said. And she says, you know, that would be our best bet, but we don't have any choice in the matter if this is who we continue to bank with. But those are the new protocols in place. Okay.
Boy, 75 times 12. I did that wrong. Hold up. Boy, that's $900 a year. That's $1,000.
Yeah, and it goes up after the first year. Usually Xfinity has promotions that you can re-sign on to, but it almost doubles the following year. This only guarantees the price for 1 year.
Then we just switch providers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've had Xfinity for a long time. If you remember to call back, like they don't remind you.
But who remembers? 9 times out of 10, you don't remember.
Including me.
Get the bill.
Yeah, exactly. But if you do remember, and we can kind of put it on the calendar, they have almost always honored whatever promotions they have going and lower it down. But I looked, you know, there are variants of maybe $5. I also have to see if we are able to get Verizon Fios. It says pending, so I'm not sure how imminent that is, but that's kind of the other option. But that's actually, I think it was like $4.60 more expensive a month.
Okay. Any other comments in reference to the internet? Okay, so what I want to talk about the Twitter account, us coming up with the Twitter account. Anybody want to speak to that?
I guess maybe that's me. I don't know.
Okay.
Mr. Picara, I don't want to step on your toes here, but
go for it.
So I think we talked about this actually at our last cow. Ursula, I don't think you were there, but I think we all agreed that it would be a good idea to have a general commission Twitter account where we could share information about meetings and, you know, just tweet general information, not, you know, opinion or anything like that. I just wanted to confirm that that's okay before anybody goes ahead and sets anything up. Are we still good to go on that? I think we had all agreed, except maybe for Ursula, because you weren't at the last cow.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I don't tweet, so that's not my area of expertise. But if we're all in agreement.
And I have a draft. We kind of talked, sorry. I was gonna say we kind of had went over some very kind of top line guidance on if someone's tweeting from this account, they're tweeting on behalf of 5B, not personal. So everything should kind of be a more information dump. So promoting our events, our upcoming meetings, etc., but not politicizing it, not weighing in on any positions or legislation or anything for those that we could all use our personal or our individual SMD accounts, but not the 5-1. So I've got, I'll share this around, but I kind of just put together a really quick social media policy for us to review. Most of it is really intuitive. It's like, don't cuss anyone out online. So hopefully there's nothing earth shattering there, but just wanted to put that out there as well.
So who would be monitoring that site? Will that be on, the secretary will be doing that, or who?
So I
will
think
be- Or is that across the board? How does that look?
there's an opt-in opportunity. So when I run Twitter accounts for organizations, it's usually been myself and like one or two other folks that have the accounts, have access to the accounts. And so I think if you're someone that likes Twitter and wants to do that, great. And you can, I don't think there's a limit under 5 that we will run into. But I am happy to, as secretary, also kind of take overarching responsibility to make sure that, you know, whatever's on there is something that we're comfortable with.
And also, I think I want access to tweet, and I think Colleen, the tweeting queen, wants access to tweet as well. The Twitter queen, Colleen.
I'd be
You're on there
happy
more
to.
than all of us. You do a good job on there too.
So,
You know,
okay, so,
I probably shouldn't be on Twitter as much as I am. I think my family would appreciate if I just got off my phone altogether. But I'm happy to backstop and help out in any way that I can with, you know, just getting information out to residents so that they have access to it.
okay. Okay, so we have a consensus?
So Preeta, are you ready to share that logo you've been working on? I mean, Preeta's been working hard.
It's nowhere near done. I can show, because I don't think Commissioner Higgins or Commissioner Carly has seen kind of what I was playing around with. Let me see if I can pull it up. It is very much a work in progress. We're trying to get some stuff sorted out. So
Yeah.
I just, that is as an initial starting point. But let's see, I can show.
Ra likes, you like tweeting too, don't you, Ra?
Oh yeah, you know me. I tweet. I don't tweet as much though, but I will do it. I want access to our account just in case. Just in
So it
case.
doesn't, I don't think I have share permissions.
Huh?
I said, I don't think I have permission to share my screen.
Oh, no, that's fine. Maybe you could just take a screenshot and just show us. You send us an email. Don't worry
Oh,
about it.
I can see if it's I have it on my phone as well. So this is kind of an, let's see, where's my camera? So I don't know if it's mirror imaging it on the screen.
No, it showed up perfectly well.
So
Oh, there we go.
So we're working
Yeah.
on some different colors and placement of stars. I've got to try to move stuff around. So anyways, hopefully I was hoping to work on it yesterday and didn't. So, but we'll hopefully getting closer to something.
All right, cool. Cool.
What was the second one?
Preeta. Preeta, we need some red net. I know I like that blue. I talked about the color. I like the blue. McDuffie uses that blue. But if we're gonna do that, I think we should do the same thing that he does and use a red, white, and blue.
Oh,
so
okay.
Because McDuffie, if you look at McDuffie's news, I'm sorry, the boys are acting up today. If you look at McDuffie newsletter, he loses that blue, and I know blue is good for the eye.
Okay.
But, so to do some red, white, and blue in there, like McDuffie's newsletter, I think that would be good for us. So if you could like run a little more.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping to be able to get to it some point soon this week, but I feel like we're close. The 5B was the hardest part, and that part's done. So hopefully we'll.
All right, well, look up, guys. I gotta go answer the door. My new pair of overalls are here.
I would like at some point a count of how many overalls Ra has.
So also we have been, is there any more questions about Twitter or input in reference to Twitter?
I actually had a different question. I'm sorry to go back, but before I forget, so we were talking about phones earlier. When Commissioner Carly, when you got your new phone, what did they make you do with the old one? Did you have to turn it in, or do we still have an extra phone somewhere? I can't hear you. I'm sorry. Are you muted?
It was purchased. It belonged to the commission.
Oh,
Do-
okay. So we
So do
still
we have an
have
extra
the
one?
we still have
No,
the
because,
okay.
no, because it will not charge. That was
Oh,
one of the
so
reasons why I needed to replace it. It wouldn't charge.
so the store took it back.
No, I just
Oh.
have it here.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there was some kind of like trade-in, whatever you call it, incentive, you know, like some of these stores, if you trade in your phone, they'll like use it for scraps or something and give you a little bit of money off. I was just wondering if they had done that at all, but doesn't sound like they did.
I just put it in the old phone in the box.
Okay.
And
Got
eventually
it.
we'll just leave it up there at the commission
Yeah.
or
Okay.
at the office.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Mhm.
Anybody else?
This is not on Twitter. Do you want to touch base on the other kind of adjacent expenses and conversations, or should we save that until later?
Yeah,
Okay.
we can go ahead.
So one of the things that I wanted to put forth, and I think I mentioned this about if I turn in my phone to do this. So there is a couple of different website platforms that we can host on. Right now we do ours on WordPress, which does have a free kind of theme is what they called available. But they are, for lack of a better term, a pain in the butt. For example, to change any colors, the heading right now is kind of light gray. To change anything, you have to go and encode it. It's just a really clunky and time intensive process. And given how much our website changes, because how, you know, there's just a lot of information that's constantly coming up. There's a platform called Squarespace, which I don't know if everyone has had an opportunity to see Commissioner Costello's website, which is beautiful. It is also really easy to populate. I've moved my, well, almost done moving my my individual SMD website over, but it makes things like posting events really simple. It would take, I think, a fraction of the time. I believe, well, right now there's a 20% off discount for the theme. I think it's, Commissioner Costello, correct me, I think it's like $15 a month in terms of an expense.
It's either $12 or $15 a month, depending on what kind of discount you're able to get. I just paid for mine as an annual fee because it ended up being a lot cheaper.
Sure. Yeah.
So that's the other option.
Yeah, I think it's, I think they knock off like an additional 15% if you pay annually. So it could come down as low as like $11 a month. But I think that would be super simple. One, it would make my life a lot easier as we're changing things. But I also think that way, if anyone else wanted to post things or add things or have a little more autonomy, it's very user friendly. And they also have a lot of really easy step-by-step guides to change things. So I think just in terms of long-term use, but also more immediate accessibility, it would be a good option for us. So wanted to put that out there. I know that Commissioner Amin had mentioned that there were talks about potentially having Henry McKembe or others look at like a full website redesign. I would just say that those can be pretty costly, and I think that this might be a great option if budget is a big concern to us. We can kind of do this. It'll still look really professional and great, but it's just a lot lower cost. So I put that out there.
So I guess my question is, will we need a credit card in order to be able to utilize?
Yeah, so a credit card, or I think they take like if there's a PayPal account or any type of account, I am happy to pay that out of pocket and get reimbursed. And it doesn't need to be immediately if that is an option that works for folks. But yes, most of the, and that goes, even if we were to upgrade our current platform WordPress to something that's a little more user-friendly, that would also require credit card, PayPal, or one of the digital payment options.
So I think, because we've talked about a couple of things that require additional monies coming from the budget. Is there a way that, but not is there a way, would we please put down the information in writing, the cost, the annual amount, the monthly amount, and then we can see what those totals come up to? And then once we reconcile, we can see what monies we'll have available. And so, because again, I'm cautious about, we're still going to have someone to utilize a credit card or something for the website, if that's the only way they do it. I don't
Yep.
believe we can do a PayPal account or anything like that.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that Commissioner McKimbey was doing. He had some line items on his credit card. And so we would be able to jumpstart, the items that we needed. So I think we let's get some action items and get some numbers together just so we can see what that looks like. And then Ra, after we kind of get some figures in, we can see how we can go ahead and get started.
Yeah, I absolutely. Those are all. That's a great plan. I put that into the budget because, like Ursula said, McKimbey already had that in our previous budgets. It was coming off his credit card, and we reimbursed him. So yeah, that's kind of an expense that I figured that we were going to have to like pick up again. So yeah, I think we'll be fine. And also, I want to add, if Colleen, the money for your business cards are already in the budget too. So if you want to proceed and order your business cards, we talked about that, Prita.
Yep.
You could feel free to do that because that money is there. I've already made sure that money's there. That's already in our business communication part of our budget. Okay, just for a thought.
I'm curious, how much is that? Because the thing that I was planning on doing with the door hangers is it's actually a door hanger with a tear-off business card at the bottom. So maybe if I can just apply the purchase of the paper door hangers toward the business card expense and then print them at the office, I wonder if that would suffice, because they are also, like, it's a dual purpose door hanger with a tear-off business card at the bottom.
Yeah, that's a good thought. I think the box of business cards is $89.
And so you're speaking in reference to buying the card stock and designing and just printing it yourself. So how much does the card stock look like for the amount that, I don't know how many?
Yeah, I need to go back and double check. It's been a few months since I last looked at it. I think it was around $120 for the amount that I wanted to get. But, if it's a difference of $30, $90 that we budgeted for business cards versus $120 to purchase the card stock, I'm happy to just pay the extra $30 out of pocket. That's not a big deal at all. And I won't request reimbursement so that we can keep things simple if that's how we want to do it.
Ron, would that be a viable solution for you?
I think it would be a solution. So Colleen, Colleen, if you just give me one more with Dawn, if she comes back next week, let me run all of this past Dawn to see what she says, because she might tell us don't do it. You're going to create problems for yourself. So if she says go ahead, then I will let everyone know. Okay.
But that would still be under our printing line item, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. It would
Okay.
still, the way that I saw it, it would still be underneath the printing line item. But like I said, Don may want us to keep things simple. I don't know, Ursula.
Okay, no, I'd rather, be on the side of caution and you just talk to her, but just want to talk it out, because if that makes a difference and you're still spending the same amount of money on that line item and it's still under the same category, So, okay. All right. One more tech conversation is Zoom. I know that everybody has different situations with our so kind of wanted to talk about Zoom and how you felt about that and utilizing that platform, and actually the paid portion I'm scared to say paid with you, Ron. I mean, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells right now.
You are.
But the paid portion of Zoom. So anybody have any opinions on that other than we need money from Raw?
Colleen, did you want us to pay for this Zoom account?
Okay, so I think I yes, I put this on the agenda. So I mean, you guys remember the issue we ran into with our last meeting is that we had quite a bit of interest in it, more than my personal account had capacity for. So my account was able to handle up to 100 people. And Preeta and I, you know, I was talking with her about the technical side of using Zoom for the meeting instead of WebEx. And my concern in doing WebEx was that, like, you know, like has happened in the past, my screen would freeze and I would basically get booted out of the meeting while I was trying to host it. And I didn't want to deal with that. I didn't want to run that risk, given that we had the DDOT director attending. And so we decided to use Zoom. She and I had talked about whether I would need to upgrade my personal account in advance of our last meeting. And we thought, well, if most of our meetings have had like 70 people or fewer, there was no reason I would need to upgrade capacity to accommodate more than 100 people. And obviously that turned out to be a very different situation. So I don't know. I mean, Raw, I know for you, Zoom is not great. And so I don't know if there's really consensus on this or not, like whether we should try Zoom for the commission, because the free version would only accommodate up to 100 people. For Raw, you know, it might lead to some tech issues. So either way, somebody's going to be dealing with tech issues. I just wanted to put this on the agenda so we could talk about whether it would make sense or not. I'm kind of curious to hear from everybody. This isn't something that's a need to have. I think, frankly, it's probably a nice to have. And it seems to me like a more user-friendly system, but obviously if we have tech problems with Zoom, you know, maybe it's not. So anyway, I'm just going to stop there and let you guys tell me your thoughts.
And the Zoom, because I know with the free portion, you only get up to 50 minutes. And so we would need to, if we did Zoom, we would need to utilize the paid portion.
Yeah, so the paid portion, that's absolutely right. The paid portion that I'd recommend for us comes out to about $16.60 a month. If we pay on an annual basis, I can add this into that line item list that we're putting together as one that we can consider, but it will allow for up to 300 participants. It'll give us recorded transcripts, branding. There's no time limit on the meeting length, so it won't cut us off at that as well. So, but we'll have the same opportunities, probably more flexibility we would be able to add co-hosts and hosts ahead of time. So we can, you know, you're not having to worry about day of trying to manually upgrade folks within the meeting. If we wanted that, you'll have a lot more control on screen sharing, muting everyone by default, getting people off of mute, etc. So I am personally more experienced and comfortable with Zoom. It's what I use at my organization. And I kind of, as Colleen said, I tend to find it really user-friendly, at least from the dial-in perspective. Literally, people can just click a link and it's free, agreed that it will just sync them on, same thing with the phone. So, but if WebEx is free and if folks feel like this is kind of doing everything we want it to do, then I am kind of what Colleen said. It's definitely a nice to have for me, but I would put Squarespace and the new website platform ahead of it. One caveat I would say, if we do decide to stay with WebEx, and I've got to figure out a way to do this, but I would recommend that we all try to have separate logins. I think it kind of confuses the system right now if more than one person is logged on. For example, of ANC 5B, obviously we get the feedback issues, but I also think from accessing recordings and the other piece, the overlap, and we certainly don't want to schedule meetings around the same time. So I'm happy to help kind of try to dig up and see if there's a way for each of us to have our own individual login. I think that especially from a meeting standpoint where constituents want to know who everyone is, it'll just be easier to keep that straight. So that would be my recommendation. If we do stick with WebEx, I think we can cut out some of those issues by really using individual logons.
Yeah.
Commissioner Colley, any feedback on the Zoom, WebEx, or?
I'll just also add that, you know, I think it would be really helpful if we had separate logons for WebEx. I actually reached out to Octo to ask them how to do it. And I don't know what her title is. I think it's account manager or something for WebEx. The person I reached out to, like, will not answer my question. So Commissioner Higgins, yeah, you should see the back and forth email. I'm like, here's my question. Can you please just answer it? Never got an answer. So Commissioner Higgins, I think you set up your own account, and I'm not sure how you did that. When I went to WebEx, I didn't see anywhere where I had that option, but maybe you can give us a tutorial. I don't know.
No, Commissioner McKimbay set it up.
Yeah. We
Okay.
talk to Octo because I have an SMD meeting
Yeah.
coming up, and I think I need a quick tutorial to host too. Can you give me that, Ursula?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay.
I
Let's.
think I can manage.
Yeah.
But Commissioner McKimbay set it up. And he's the one that sent us everybody that link information.
Oh, interesting.
I think
okay.
separate, yeah, I think separate log-ons would probably resolve a lot of the problems, which is why we have like co-host and host, because when I hosted a meeting, it's been showing up ever since that way. I don't know why, but it has. So I think separate log-ons will resolve a lot of problems.
Yeah,
Okay. I'll dig around it.
It's a way to do
Go ahead.
that because I've taken Octo's class, and it is a way to do that once they contact us, and it's a way to have a larger platform. We just have to get them to show us how to do it. Let me say this. We cannot afford a Zoom account, Colleen. I
Okay.
you know, I just don't think that's something that we. With that being said, again, everything comes up for a vote, and I do have a problem in Zoom. It's something about my CPUs. It's telling me that I'm the lagging that you get in my audio is telling me I'm pulling too many CPUs, and I've tried everything that they say to do, and it still happens in a large meeting. The reason why I did it in that meeting that we just had is because it was over 100. It was 100 people in there. If it's a small meeting of 6 people or 20 people, I'm fine. But if you get a large Zoom meeting like 40 people above, my audio just lags. And so my question is, do we have 5G in this area? Do we have 5G
They haven't
here?
officially launched. No, technically no. I mean, it says 5G on your phone, but it actually hasn't officially launched yet. It's very confusing and misleading for customers who think they have 5G, but it hasn't been rolled out yet.
Right.
I'm apparently one of those things because I thought I had 5G.
Because I have a really good, so everyone's like, "Oh, Rod, you're cheap, and you need to upgrade your you need to upgrade your 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 internet." I I have a FiOS plan that
You breaking up, bro.
I really pay a lot
Frida
of money
broke
for
out.
each month. So I thought maybe I need to try to find 5G or something. 4G light. Yeah.
See, that's what y'all get for talking about WebEx.
Yeah, that's what we get.
No platform apparently.
This is the
That's
case
what y'all
in
get
point
for
here.
dissing WebEx.
Yeah, you see what happened. All right. So,
And Gail was
all right.
frozen.
So, huh?
Gail looked like she's frozen. Gail, are you? Yeah.
She's okay on my end.
Yeah.
Okay. Now
Okay.
you.
So, our next, so let's talk about implementing a code of conduct for commissioners and committee members. We spent more time on that.
All right. I need to
So-
pull this up, but I think I put this one on the agenda. Give me 1 second. See if I can pull it up. So,
Are you,
Sorry.
wait a minute. Are you
I-
sharing your screen or are you pulling up on your computer?
I'm just searching for something that I came across before. So, another commission had, I think it was 1A, they have in their operating documents a code of conduct, for commissioners. It's pretty straightforward. You know, it's not anything that's different from what they tell you in your ethics training, but I think it kind of goes beyond that, and it's just kind of like, you know, like a code of civility, I guess you could say. I'm going to try and email you guys this link while we're talking so you can look at it. Let me send you all a quick email. Give me 1 second. Okay. Second here. Okay. Sending you the email. This is from ANC 1A. So, you know, their code of conduct, let me scroll down. I don't want to read it to you, but I'll just kind of go over what the general provisions are. Give me 1 second. Okay, so they go over general conduct, you know, like don't do anything unethical, don't abuse your power, fairness and equity, you know, be consistent when you consider issues, consider all of the facts known to you when you make decisions, don't engage in harassment or discrimination, you know, they go through public comment responsibility. So you're the only person, as a commissioner, you're the only representative of your district who is empowered to make public comments on behalf of your district or the commission. So, you know, while you're conveying public comment, you know, just make it clear that you're acting on behalf of your district or the commission and not on behalf of any other group or organization. Let's see. I don't know if you guys have received my email yet. Access to information. So they go over making sure that the rest of the commission has full and timely access to information so that the rest of the commission can carry out its duties. Let's see. Making sure that you're not misusing commission information, especially confidential information or private information. And then any breaches of either their internal code of conduct or breaches of, you know, the code of ethics that we're all obligated by should be reported. And then they go through what the procedures are for that. I found this, frankly, like to be a really good guiding document. And I think, you know, most organizations tend to have something like this, you know, that applies to all of their employees or members. I think it might be useful for us to consider doing something like this. And I'm not saying that we should copy it verbatim, but maybe consider what makes most sense for our commission. So let me know if you've gotten my email and if you've had a chance to take a look at some of the provisions in that document, and then we can discuss.
Well, I
was
have
just
you,
going
Colleen.
through it while you were talking. And it's an extensive document, but 11 pages worth, but it is a 12 pages worth. But it touches on a lot of procedural matters as far as the commission is concerned, and just basically accountability. And it's very extensive. So again, you know, I think we need to take a look at it. I believe we should consider it and see what makes sense for our commission body. So I would just ask that everybody take the opportunity to just, take a look at it. Right, cross it up, mark it up, do what you need to do. And I think that's something that we can bring back to our COW and talk about it and discuss it. But I do think that is what's needed, and we do need to have something in place. I think that's very important at this point.
If everyone is amenable to it, I can turn this into, right now it's in PDF format. As a starting off point, I can take the text of this into a Google Doc so we can work on it collectively. And then maybe that way we can strike out what we don't want, add in. I think in particular, as we were just talking about the social media kind of policy, I think that we could add a section here so it's in one document, because I think a lot of how we approach things, cover our online presence as well. So thank you for bringing this to our attention. I think I agree with Commissioner Higgins. I definitely think that we should have, one of these for us that is reflective of our values and our commitment to the community.
Yeah, and I think
and to the commission.
Sorry, go ahead.
And to each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I was going to say is, it just occurred to me, but I think it would be helpful if we also make sure that committee members are aware of what the expectations are. I mean, obviously they're all volunteer like us, but I think there might have been some confusion in the recent process that we went through with the comp plan, where, we had one committee member, ANC committee member, who was also speaking on behalf of a civic organization and another group of individuals, and it was really confusing for me, at least, to know who she was speaking on behalf of and whose views were being represented at various times. So I think maybe we need to make that clarification as well for committee members, just so the rest of residents around here know that when a committee member is speaking on an issue that pertains to their committee, that they're speaking on behalf of that committee and not, some other group. I think, so we need to have some clear boundaries on that, just so people understand what perspective is being represented at a given time.
But I also think that I don't think any one committee member should be speaking on behalf of the committee, but they can speak on as a resident.
Yeah,
well, anybody can speak as a resident, but what I have seen in the past couple of months is a resident speaking on behalf of the development committee, speaking on behalf of the BNCA. And it's in writing and it's been vocalized as well. And we do need to understand that the committees are the advisory group to the ANC, not to just one commissioner, it's to the ANC. And that the advisory committees and the head of that committee are not to conduct business as the full body.
I don't think, and maybe I'm wrong. I'm
just saying, I just want to finish. And, so when a commissioner is speaking and a resolution is put forth and a resolution is stated on behalf of ANC 5B, that's the whole commission. That's not just a development group, that is ANC 5B. And so that needs to be drawn back in, because again, this is a committee that is advising the full body, but not taking any action on the full body, on behalf of the full body.
Now, see, and
that's
that's
a difference.
Right, and I do understand what you're saying. So it was my assumption, which is why I asked, I think in an email, and I also asked Caroline, when she brought that forth, I said, had you spoken to Commissioner Higgins? And she said, yes, I have. And I said, and she agrees with this. She said she did not have any problem with that. So, and then in the email, when you brought it up, I asked you, Caroline Petty said this and that. Had you said, no, she may have spoken, but I did not know this was the action that was going to be taken, then it probably would never have came up.
When I spoke to Caroline, that was the day I talked to Caroline as well as John Feely. The day that he was on his way over to your home to pick up something or to provide some edits, I was specifically told that you had, now this came from Caroline Petty, that you stated that you would contact the commissioner, and that I'm telling you what was stated to me. And at that time, I went to Caroline and to John, sent them an email, as well as picked up the phone and gave both of them a call. Because just like I told Caroline, I said, why would you put this forward, or why are you guys moving on this and I haven't been notified? And she stated, Commissioner Carley said, no, she would be the one to notify you. That's what she stated to me.
And I think you and
John Feely stated as well, oh, Commissioner, we thought you knew. We thought you knew.
And you know why he said that?
My single member district person didn't say anything, and I had both of them on the email, nor did my colleague. That's exactly what I said to both of them.
And the reason why he said, we thought you knew, because when we had a meeting, we didn't meet for a week or two. When she came back, she had resolution in hand. I said, had you spoken to Commissioner Higgins? She said, oh yeah, she didn't have a problem with it. I said, wait a minute, she didn't have a problem with this? She said, no. Now, I also asked you that in the email, even before you received that resolution. But what I want to explain, because I think you and I had that conversation over the phone, and what I envisioned was exactly what I envisioned. If you have a representative, that representative is of your single member district. So whatever that representative is bringing that issue to the board. In other words, hey, this is going on. So then I'm assuming, and I said, okay, well, you need to get with, and I think I mentioned this to you, it is a responsibility of that representative to come back to their commissioner and have a dialogue, have a conversation. All right, well, you know what? Let's have a single member district meeting, or whatever you guys decide y'all gonna do. And then they'll bring it back to the board and say, well, yes, I spoke to my my commissioner, and we're gonna have a single member district meeting. We're gonna bring it up in a single member district meeting, and then we're gonna see how we're going to, materialize from there. That's what I envision.
But this is what we had discussed with you. I need you to mute your phone because I'm having feedback. So, but this is what we had discussed with you. I'm talking about as a commission body, when we stated it should still be up to you. We even asked you, can we come to meetings so we can hear what's going on? You objected to that. And no, and we also, if I'm incorrect in what I'm stating, the other commissioners can jump in at any time, because we actually had a back and forth about it. And we had also asked, I said, wait a minute, well, we should be able to hear what's going on so we'll know for ourselves what's going on. You objected to that.
I didn't object. I did not object. What I said was I didn't see why or the reason, but I wasn't preventing that from happening. I gave an opinion just like everyone else did.
Okay, I'm not gonna play on the words, but what I'm saying is somewhere along the line, the ball got dropped. You stated that she said, and she said that you told them directly, no, I will talk to Commissioner Higgins. And that was a problem.
No, I did not, because.
Okay,
and
I
that-
mean, so
and no,
that's fine, but I'm just
did you remember my
communicating
email?
with you both sides and what was said. That's all I'm saying.
Right, but do you remember my email responding to your email when I said, you know what, Caroline Petty said it, and I said, if that's not the case, let me know. Because if that wasn't the case, then I would have said, look, you guys, this was, Higgins
Did
was
I
not
respond?
No, you did not. No, I asked you, I said, if that isn't the case where Caroline Petty did not come to you and have a conversation about this and about.
And that was after the fact, correct?
No, it was before. It was even before you received the resolution. I was waiting to hear back from you. You did not respond.
Okay, so if I didn't respond, and as much as I do respond, then that should have been, okay. But if I didn't respond, that means, because I always respond.
Go back
Guys,
to your emails,
I don't-
because you brought up the fact that you said, well, you know what, this went out and I had no knowledge of. I said, I've never seen it before. And I said, if Caroline Petty had not talked with you, and if that is the case, because she informed the committee that, no, I had spoken with Higgins. And I said, if that is the case, let me know. Please let me know. Had you said something, then I would have said, well, no, because, this is not transparency. This is not full disclosure.
I'm sorry
Okay.
to interrupt, but I
No,
actually
go
think
ahead.
that this is a really good thing that we should discuss with respect to the committee guidelines. And I think maybe we can get to that. This is a good segue, but first, it sounds like we're kind of on the same page. We're all on the same page about reviewing the suggestion I made for a code of conduct that would apply to members of the commission and our committee members. And I think, so it sounds like, I just want to confirm, we're all in agreement. We're going to review it, mark up the text. Commissioner Piquera, if you can send that in a Google document, sometime maybe this week, I'm happy to get started on it, and I'll review the text and do it and track changes on Google Documents. And that way you can see what my markups are, and then we'll reconvene at the next CAL and see what we've agreed on. And then whatever we agree on, we can vote on at the subsequent public meeting. But I do think we should also talk about the committee guidelines. So let me know if we're ready to do that, if we're ready to leave the code of conduct behind. Does that make sense?
It does to me. I think it's a
We
good
can move
segue.
forward.
Wait a
Yeah,
minute.
and-
So the code of conduct is only about the committee and not about the commission?
No, it's
No.
everything.
No, it's about the commission as a whole, and it includes committees.
Correct.
You can go ahead and proceed.
Yeah. I don't think any committee needs to submit a resolution to us. I think that if they can advise us, and if a commissioner
Excuse me for 1 second.
and
Go ahead.
if a commissioner serves on that committee, that commissioner brings that resolution to Cal like we always do. That's not the community's job or the committee's job to bring us resolutions. So I mean, whether it's my committee or Prita's committee, if your committee has an idea for a resolution, you bring it to Cal and you put it out there, and we talk about it, and then you put it on the agenda, then we vote on it.
Nor do I think, yes, to everything you said, Commissioner. I mean, I would even go a step further and say, if it's coming before us as a full body and something that impacts multiple SMDs, like those single member district commissioners should have an opportunity to weigh in on the content of the resolution and not be kind of handed it at the last minute without getting to touch it beforehand. Like that, we discussed this when we talked about the roles of the committee, but and I get that there may be misunderstanding about the attendance, but one thing we did all unanimously agree on, and I went back to confirm my notes, is that if there was a matter discussed at any of the committees that impacted another commissioner's SMD, that they would immediately be brought into the conversation. So not just like a notification in this sense, not just Carolyn Petty giving Commissioner Higgins a heads up, but like that Commissioner Higgins would be invited to any conversations that were taking place around it. And that did not sound like it happened. There's a lot of this that didn't sound like it happened. I would also move to say that I thought we understood our roles as we are there as ex officio members on whatever committees, but we are also there to communicate internally. So if things are happening, I would say I can't put it on my constituent to say, go back and talk to Commissioner Costello about what we're talking about, or go back and talk to Commissioner. I mean, like, as colleagues, I think that we are responsible for also having those conversations, like Commissioner said, in our COW, but even individually over email, we are very active, but some type of communication of this happens. It shouldn't happen. I especially given that there are also volunteer positions, I don't think we can put the onus on constituents for having to be the ones to communicate this.
This wasn't just about a constituent just communicating or just throwing something at her. I assumed when I saw emails with Commissioner Higgins working with Caroline Petty that they had a continuous dialogue, even by phone and emails, because that was in the emails that you were sharing with us.
But if you take a look at the emails, there's nothing about that resolution. And again, the resolution, if one was being formulated, you still did not reach out to me. You didn't say a word. Even when we were asking for the resolution, we didn't even get it till later. But
I didn't
again,
get it
just
either.
due respect to me, I believe that you should have communicated with me. You know, whether Caroline Petty says she did, she didn't, at this point, I don't even care, because it's just back and forth. He's, you know, but as my colleague, you guys have been meeting. I don't know how many times you met. This didn't just populate overnight. There was a discussion. You know, I should have been included in it. And if you feel that the way that process went was proper and in its right perspective, then I'm going to let you know that it wasn't.
And once again, I do believe days before I sent you an email and I said, if that is not the case, let me know. I said, let me know.
You're saying days before, Gail. Days before.
Guys,
all I'm saying
you even
is,
well, you know what?
All I'm saying is when this conversation came up, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we're looking at. This is what we're going to do. This didn't come up overnight. This didn't come up 2 or 3 days or 4 days or 5 days before the meeting. Or before you sent me the email. And if it did, that's you know, but however, again,
email, but going back and forth is not going to change anything.
No, it's not. But what I'm just saying is that just to have respect for your colleagues, you're the one, you four are the ones that I work with. You are the four that's on the commission alongside of me. Not Caroline Petty, not the people on the ABRA committee, none of that. It's the five.
Like I said, I sent you an email.
Okay, Gail, and that's fine, and we can just leave that there. Go ahead, Commissioner.
Who was next? Rob, were you next?
Commissioner Costello was next, and then
Costello
Rob,
was
I was
I like the glasses, Colleen.
Hey, thanks. I can't wear contacts still, so here we are. I'm on team glasses right now. Look, we've beat this horse to death. I'm sorry to say, the poor horse is dead. But I didn't get an email either, nor did Ra. The resolution pertained to our district, so I think this is a good example of why we need to maybe tighten up some of our committee guidelines that Commissioner Pereira sent to us earlier. I dropped the link in the chat so you can all pull it up easily and look at it. I think maybe what we need to do is this. We need to just say that every committee chair is responsible for reporting back to the commission during its COW for any business that was previously conducted over the past month and for any resolutions or business that the committee believes that the commission should take up. And I think that's just the way we need to do it. Obviously, if there's a more pressing issue that's like time sensitive that we need to discuss more quickly than that, then maybe what we do is we have a special cow. I know we have a lot of special meetings, but maybe we just need to do a special cow if it's really and truly something that's pressing that the committee had to jump on quickly to address. But I think this is something we need to put into our guidelines. And then the other thing I think we need to do is, I don't think our bylaws reference the guidelines, but I think we should include a reference in our bylaws to the guidelines so it's clear that they're fully incorporated in the bylaws.
Agree.
Yeah, so if we can start taking a look at that, so when we have our meeting, we would have already gone through it, made our edits, and we can go ahead and present it at our April meeting.
That sounds good. And also, you know, just another related note that committee meetings are supposed to be public. We did discuss and agree on that. It says it in the guidelines as well. So hopefully that's something that will continue to happen or start to happen. I was made aware that the development committee is planning on meeting sometime next week. I don't think any public notice has been sent out, but I think sending public notice out should also be up to the chair, the commissioner who chairs it or co-chairs it. You know, not necessarily the, you know, the average citizen who's a member of the commission or the committee, excuse me. So I think that, you know, all of those duties need to fall on us because we're the elected representatives, not on the citizens who are volunteering their time generously.
Yeah, I mean, adding to that, and I think it's up to the chair on if they ask for help from committee members to do this, but I think ultimately the responsibility should also fall on the chair to disseminate minutes and or recordings for the meetings. I think it's really important for transparency purposes. I know I talked to Mr. Feely, and he said that there were no records of the meetings, no meeting minutes or recordings, and they were not under that he did not know that there was supposed to be. And so it's very difficult to figure out what happened and where some information came from and source of things without being able to get a sense of what was discussed.
Yeah. Yo, Prita, once a commissioner, always a commissioner. So you can call Feely Commissioner Feely. So no problem.
Okay. So we can, are we going to be able to meet that deadline so we can get those changes in for the code of conduct? And also talking about committees, someone had asked about vacancies on their committees. I have 2 people and we have not started. That's from Commissioner Costello's SMD, but I would like to fill those so we can get up and going. So if you know anybody that's interested in the ABRA committee, please let me know.
Yes. Oh, I just dropped a link in the chat again with the Google document that the spreadsheet that I put together. It lists all of the committees, and then it also lists where we have vacancies and where we have committee members already filling positions. And I've indicated too, I just added this today, in italics, I've put the names of other individuals from the same SMDs who have also expressed interest in joining committees, but who, to my knowledge at least, are not yet members of those committees. And the reason I did that is if there are other vacancies for other SMDs, you can pull from those individuals whose names are in italics and, you know, maybe invite them to be part of those committees instead.
Where is it located?
So in the chat, can you see the chat?
Yeah, I just opened it up.
Yeah, the link that says committee vacancies. Let me know if it doesn't open. Hopefully it's...
No, mine open. It'll give you a message and you just hit continue.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Yeah, I didn't know if it was shareable.
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't know. There may be people who are missing that I'm not aware of, but you guys should go ahead and fill in whoever might be missing.
So one thing on the committees, we discussed at our previous meeting, Commissioner Higgins, I don't think you were there, but we had discussed the possibility of renaming the communications committee to community engagement, because we thought it was more encompassing of kind of the different roles that this committee could play in getting everyone involved and engaged. So I wanted to put that forth, Commissioner Higgins, unless you had any concerns with that.
No, that's fine.
And
The only
second-
thing, so, on the ABRA committee, it's just me.
Okay, so it sounds, so does that mean, if I'm reading this right, Colleen, Melissa and Boaz are both interested in joining?
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, Commissioner Higgins. I keep getting mixed up on this.
No, that's fine. We're good. That was
in
the
my-
only thing.
In my head, I keep thinking that there are two of you for ABRA, and I can't seem to remember that it's public safety, right? That you're both.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, no, I'm letting Rob rock that himself.
Okay.
No,
I'm gonna rock that one.
you're not letting me do nothing. We rocking that together.
As
I'll
we're
be in the background. But,
I'm gonna let you guys fight this one out. But yes,
sorry,
but yeah,
go.
the two. No, it's okay. The two 5B05 names that I have there in italics
Mhm.
are two of my constituents who expressed interest. And just for the
Yeah,
record,
I've talked to Engelsberg,
okay,
and so he's already committed. It should be, if it's Melissa Davis,
yeah.
then it's one more person. It's another gentleman that I spoke with as well. So
Oh.
it's actually 3. No, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know
So-
that. So I will say, so it sounds like Boaz Engelsberg, he is on the committee. That's official.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes. Yeah,
He's-
him and I already spoke.
Okay. If you have other vacancies, I would highly recommend Melissa. And the reason I recommend her is she has experience working in, I think, liquor advertisements. And
Okay, she can stay. She can
well-
stay because right now there are no other members.
okay.
So just leave her there.
If you
And,
want to, yeah, if you want to reach out to her and formally invite her, I can send her email again. But I just wanted to say that when I was dealing with the back and forth with Michigan Liquors and trying to renegotiate the settlement agreement,
Mhm.
she had so many helpful insights that I think
Okay.
really helped persuade other residents in favor of, some of the changes that we ended up making. So I think she'd be a really valuable resource. And I don't think she comes at it with a mentality of I'm on this side or I'm on that side. I just think
Mhm.
she can really be a good advisor on that committee. So
Okay.
that's why I recommend her there.
And then also Bree Ryback, she's 5B02.
Oh, sorry. Okay, got it.
I don't see any people who are interested. I only see some of the people who are on the committee members.
Yeah, so okay, real quick, Bree Ryback, her name was on the list of committees that I think Commissioner Higgins, you had sent out
Mhm.
earlier this year. So I don't think I've been in touch with her. I don't also I'll look. I don't know if I have her contact information, but
If not, I'll send it to you. Yeah, but she's 5B02.
okay, got it. Yeah, so Commissioner Carly, so we're looking at this document. The names that are in plain or regular text are the people who were definitely on the committees, and the names that are in italics are the people who have expressed interest but who haven't been formally admitted, I guess, as members of these committees. Does that make sense? Okay. Is there anybody else who's part of the development committee? Because I think you had Commissioner Carly. I think you had mentioned Racine Woodland. I think.
Yes, and there's an Eric Cole. Eric Cole is 5B01 and Racine Woodland is 5B04.
Okay, so they're on the committee.
Yes.
Okay, got it. It's Woodland.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And then this is Eric. What's his last name?
Cole, C-O-L-E.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it. So you have a 5B03 vacancy. All right, Prita.
I have someone. I do have someone. I will confirm with him that he said he's very interested in housing. And Commissioner Higgins, I think he actually reached out to you. First name is Phil.
Mhm.
So I will follow up with him and then send him your way, Commissioner Carly. As we were talking about these, just a quick question. So I've talked about the potential name change or the name change for the comms committee. One of the things I noticed, and I think I shared this on email, was that the name of the development committee was changed.
Yes.
And one of the reasons, well, altered, they wanted to also include affordable housing, which they think comes before construction.
So is that where we got, excuse me, land use?
Yes, for affordable housing.
So is that process something, because, and I think these are all good learning opportunities for us. So I was under the impression that things like this are things that we internally would discuss before allowing committee members to kind of make, I guess in a broad sense, like committee members can't make any changes. Like anything binding of any kind. You know, they can make recommendations on, we think the name should be more encompassing, and I think I'm totally open to that, but I'm concerned with anything that just allows broad changes that are not under the purview of the full body, because as they are out doing the work, they are representatives of us, and it makes me feel uncomfortable to have them representing something I didn't even know that we had a committee named that way.
Right.
Understood.
So we couldn't do housing/development.
Well, no, because housing it's not focusing on, I mean, people think it's about individual housing as far as do you have any affordable units in buildings that's already occupied, as opposed to the community having some input in saying, oh, you know, it's pre-development, so can we negotiate having more available housing than they're offering? So they're thinking it's more in the pre-construction stage.
That sounds
But
like
when
something
we
that
were-
falls within the
But when we were
development
talking
of right.
about it, yeah, but when we were talking about it before, and I'll go back and look, and this was in October or November, we were speaking in reference to housing, not just development. I mean, that committee was encompassing housing, not just geared towards pre-development, post-development. It was housing as a whole, which encompassed development.
I hear.
So the way,
No, I hear you. Go ahead.
But the way that particular committee is named now is specifically gearing towards future land use as well as development. No, but I'm just saying, when you look at the title,
No,
I mean, it looks like, especially given with the resolution that was just put forth, you know, it looked like, okay, this is what we are, who we are, and so bam, it was just too directly related to just that, looking from the outside in. No, this is what
that came up beforehand, and I really truly don't think it had anything to do with future land use. I think the discussion was more on the lines of, you know, when they rezone something, you know, having some input into how much they're going to put in that specific rezoning area, specifically already designated for housing. I don't think it had anything to do with any, you know, decisions on future land use. I think that decision was based on what was going on in her area and what she thought, you know, she would bring to your attention, basically. It
And
had
that's
nothing
my
to do with-
point exactly. That's my point exactly. And so with the development, housing slash development, just like for instance with the if we look under community engagement, so we're talking about social media, web design, community updates,
Mhm.
and just like with the development, DCRA, special exemptions, and it could also be affordable housing or housing. But I don't think it should be directly related or geared to just development and zoning issues,
Okay.
because that's not what it's not just strictly about that.
Well, I think development will, well, in the discussion, I think the development would, you're right, will encompass housing and but it just did not sound like it was including affordable housing, or would lead someone to believe, you know what, this is also about affordable housing, but not necessarily what's existing, but what one might be trying to advocate, you know, into existing.
That to me sounds like something that should fall just under the umbrella of development. If we're talking about affordable housing, I think you start to get into a lot of other questions like, okay, are we talking about Section 8 housing and things like that? And that's a totally separate agency that's responsible for that type of housing. You know, are we talking about like homeless shelters and things like that? I mean, there are a whole other set of issues that you could get into when you talk about housing. And frankly, it sounds to me like that's maybe a whole separate committee. Development, in the way that it was presented, was it earlier this year? In the list of committees, it says CRA and special exemptions. And to me, it sounds like we're just talking about, you know, variances, special exceptions, BZA, things like that. So
Yeah, I don't
we need
that
to
was
get
the
clear.
intention. Yeah.
So we need to get clear on what this is and how broad of a committee this is going to be. Because if we're talking about housing, like that sounds like a very, very big umbrella.
Yeah, no, I don't think they definitely is not shelters or anything like that. And I don't think the intent ever was I know DCRA was exactly one of them. I know zoning was one of them. I think that was like the two major points that was brought up when that was included.
I would also, I mean, as we're thinking about those bigger issues around housing, accessibility, et cetera, I would actually move that that's probably something that shouldn't be a committee at all. I think that some of those issues are so incredibly charged and have really strong opinions that I think if we are saying that there's going to be a limited number of people that are advising us on that, that could be pretty contentious, because I know that there's going to be a lot of people that feel like they should be one of those 5 voices. And so I think that some of those might be best left to us as commissioners to resolve and discuss independently rather than a volunteer group. But that's just my thought. I just think there's a lot of nuances and delicacies around those.
So the name.
Sorry, around what? I wasn't clear around what.
Around
housing.
Yeah, around housing.
So when we talk
about one of the things they were talking about, because it could, I mean, it could involve anything.
Yeah, I think limiting it to
things who was talking about. I'm sorry, I missed that.
The committee.
So why were they discussing that if it was just dealing with the development?
I don't think they were limited on what they can discuss.
No, I thought it might have been a topic that they were bringing up to distinguish what they should and shouldn't be doing. Okay.
Well, no. I think what they were trying to come up with a mission statement. And when you talk about housing, it is very broad.
So that actually, did they come up with a mission statement, or how? Sorry, I was under the impression that we were going to be giving them a mission statement rather than them creating their own. I guess for
No,
understanding, what was the guidance that they were given that their purview would be?
there wasn't any guidance. That's why I was up for discussion. But we were talking of what they were talking about again. I mean, when everybody's coming up with all these different ideas about housing, I mean, what are you literally talking about? I mean, it's very broad. And so again, they just thought this would be more a narrative toward zoning, if they're going to rezone something for affordable housing, or if they decide they're going to put something there, then that is something they think that they may have a discussion or be included in that conversation. But it would definitely have something to do with affordable housing, and that is the narrative of, you know, not having it so broad.
So I would suggest a couple things. One, I would suggest that we as chairs of our committees come up with the mission statements, and I would suggest, as long as everyone doesn't feel like their plate is too full, maybe we could all work on that in this next month and bring it to the COW, because I think it's important that we all agree on every committee's, you know, we are all assigned to a committee more as a divide and conquer rather than an ownership, because then we can't be in 5 places at once. But I think if we can all come to that, and you know, we can, depending on what is on the development committee's agenda for their meeting next week, maybe we can advise, unless it's pressing, that all committees kind of hold until we've had an opportunity to clearly outline their purview and outline their mission statement, that they don't take any further action until we are all in agreement of that.
I believe that's a good
I am
idea as
writing,
well.
I am the one that's writing the mission statement.
Okay.
So next month we can, at our next COW, we can all reconvene with our written mission statements that we'll share with each other in advance, and, you know, agree on it collectively. And then at our next public meeting, we can vote on the mission statements for all of the committees. Does that sound like a plan?
I love
Yep.
it.
That sounds
Yeah.
great.
And I just want to flag too, I mean, you know, some of the Howard East neighbors individuals who I guess were jumping on this bandwagon over the last couple of weeks had also expressed concern about doing traffic studies and impacts and things like that. I just want to be clear that if the development committee is also planning on assessing traffic impacts, they need to talk to me because that's something that the transportation committee is going to want to also be aware of. All right, so I just want to flag that.
Well, my recommendation
in our meeting here that's being recorded.
My recommendation has always been, when anyone comes to me, especially when I find out what ANC they are in, send them back to the ANC commissioner. So if you got people coming back to you, it's because maybe they reached out to me. But as far as the traffic study is concerned, if anything, I would recommend, if they're an individual committee and if they can raise the fund, they should do their own.
I just meant if the development committee is planning on taking up the issue of traffic studies as part of its mantle, we should probably coordinate on that. That's all.
Again, if there is a suggestion like that, the suggestions are not coming from me. So if it comes from the committee, then I will definitely make sure that it's not something we want to take on.
Okay. I mean, if they do, it's fine, but let's coordinate. That's all I'm asking. Thanks.
Does anybody else have anything else to bring to the meeting? Wonderful Easter weekend activities. Anything.
I did have one more question, again, not to try to beat this really, really dead horse, but just because, Commissioner Carly, you might have seen that my questions were kind of punted back to you by Carolyn Petty. So I was just trying to get a sense, because I can't remember if it's yesterday or today, days are blending together. Commissioner Feely kind of reaffirmed a mistruth at the heart of the resolution, at the heart of the comp plan. And I'm just confused as to where this information is coming from. But can you share where the text of this resolution came from? Like, it makes a lot of very big assertions that I can't find any factual basis for. So things like this allows for right of way, which I know that you credited Commissioner Feely on the Brookland listserv today for having an expertise in, but I can't find that statement that he made to be factually true anywhere.
Did you ask him?
I asked him and I asked I asked Carolyn Petty, and I think you were on the response.
Did he respond?
They suggested that we talk
No,
to
not
you.
them. Commissioner Feely. I mean, yeah, Commissioner Feely. Did he respond?
He's not the chair of the committee.
No, that's not what I asked. She asked me a question. I'm asking her. Did he respond?
He did not, and Carolyn responded saying that I should ask you.
Okay, then when I get to it and when we're done, I will send you an email on that.
Is it something that we can discuss here in terms of the source? Because there's no minutes, because there's no recording, there's all this information coming out that I am getting lots of emails on, and I'm saying I've talked to OP and I've talked to zoning and this isn't true, and it's like, well, Commissioner Carley's resolution says blank, and I don't know how to respond to that.
Resolution. I did not write that resolution, although I did have input, but I'm not gonna, that's not where I'm going with
But
that.
it's your name on it, Commissioner Carley.
That's not where I'm going with that. What I'm saying is I will review the resolution and your email and I will respond.
Guys, look, we're chairs of our committees. We need to take ownership for the actions of our committees.
I said I will respond. That's taking ownership.
Do you have a sense of when you might be able to respond? Some of these emails I sent you last week, so it's been over a week. And so
I'm between tonight and tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. Because I am interested, I've got constituents asking me if this information is not correct, why is it there? And because I don't know where it came from, I have no way to respond at the moment. So I'd appreciate a prompt response to that matter. Thank you.
Commissioner Picari, you are very kind. I just want to say, if you put your name on a resolution, you should know who is responsible for writing it. And it seems like that's something that you have information about right now. You don't need to go back.
Wait a minute. Don't tell me what I have information about. I said I will
figure it out.
I will respond. That's
But
what I said.
Commissioner Costello, is there a reason that you are uncomfortable responding now? Because you were in the meetings, we were not.
My name is Commissioner Carley, not Costello, first
Sorry.
of all. And I'm not going to go back and forth with you. I said I will respond.
I understand. As a separate
But
question,
this
is there a reason you're not responding?
Yeah, but this is the platform that we need to discuss this all together, because it's not just affecting one person, it's affecting each and every person on this commission body.
And I think I have answered every last one of you guys'
But
questions.
you know the information. You're the one that wrote it. You're the one that submitted it. And you
Yes,
the one
I
that put it
did.
in the source. So we just need to know where you got the information.
And I said, and you know what? I don't know if I read her email or not. When I get to it, I will send all of you guys a response to the question.
Okay, maybe we can do this.
You know, for some reason or another, I do know why. But you know what, Commissioner Higgins, you had every opportunity to call me just like you did when you called Caroline Petty and John Feely, but you didn't, you called them, all right? So let's get that out there first. I didn't want to say anything, but you could have called me.
But you should have, again,
now you're telling me what I should have done.
Why you were doing it.
You're telling me what I should have done. You're telling me what I should have done. And I think that's something you should have done. You got it. You got it. Now, you guys want to sit up here and keep coming at me and badgering me about this question, that question, and why.
One with the information.
Anytime you ask anybody a why question, you're backing them in a corner. I said I will answer your question. If that's not good enough, then I'm sorry.
Okay.
No, I took that back.
All right, Commissioner Costello.
Nobody's being backed into a corner. This is information that should be easily transmissible to everybody here in this meeting. Okay, was Racine Woodland part of the deliberative process? Did John Feely write the resolution? Did Carolyn Petty write the resolution? I mean, you should know who you were emailing and calling and meeting up with.
Now, what difference does it make who you believe? I said I am taking ownership. I said that.
I appreciate that. I think it matters because the reality is this entire process was supposed to be public and it wasn't. And there were not minutes and there were not pre-posted meetings about this. So there was not an opportunity for us to join. And so now in this body, you are the only person of the five of us that was in the room or was on those meetings.
And I
So
said,
you're our only source. I
And I-
appreciate that.
okay,
I
well, then that's the
appreciate
end of that question.
But I guess I am unclear as to why this is something you are uncomfortable answering right now. I have attempted to talk to others in the commission. They have then said to talk to you
Okay.
or in the committee. And so I am now trying to talk to you, following up on multiple emails that I have sent. And I guess my question is there a particular reason you feel like this is something that you prefer to talk about over email versus
No,
this
it's
is
not
a very
I'm gonna respond. I'm not talking about, I'm gonna respond.
okay, well, but I think that this should be a conversation because this is still a very live topic. I am still getting emails about this. It is still obviously being
Oh,
discussed.
Commissioner, you can handle it.
I have no doubt that I can handle it, but what I am attempting to do, if I'm being perfectly candid, is I don't feel comfortable going out and saying one of my colleagues is flat out lying about something, which I am sure is not the
did
case.
it several times. So why not?
I said
did it several, you already did it in several statements.
I said it's inaccurate. I didn't say
Okay,
I didn't
but there you go.
count it to anyone. But now when I'm being questioned with if it's inaccurate, where did that inaccuracy come from? I really would like to understand. I'm really trying to just understand because I am sure that there is a valid explanation as to how we got here. I'm sure of it. I'm just trying to understand what that explanation is so that when we are talking to our constituents, all of 5B constituents, which represent our full community, they are understanding that we are a cohesive body that they can rely on rather than we should be. We should
You're
be.
right.
And I would argue that I have
We should be.
I would say that I have made every attempt to communicate with you and I've not heard back over email. I think this is a good example. There's not been a lot of transparency in this process. And in asking for transparency, I appreciate that we are starting to establish guidelines for moving forward. But as this is still a living issue, I would like to understand where this came from. That is it. That is a simple, where did this come from? I am not a zoning expert. I've spent a lot of time talking to OP and zoning to understand that, but clearly there's someone else's perspective out there that is, I'm assuming, credible, that sees it differently. So when there are statements made by someone from our commission that you chair that is completely inaccurate, but is represented in the resolution that you brought forth for all of us to sign.
I think you said that several times.
I know, because it is very frustrating.
And my answer is not going to change. So you can continue saying it over and over and over. It's 8:33, but you can continue. But trust me when I tell you, you're wasting your time.
All right. Well, this lack of transparency is
Clearly.
incredibly
No, it's
disappointing.
not lack of transparency. I'm just not going to let. Yeah, I know.
I mean, there was no public meeting, there's no public minutes, and now you won't share what happened in the meeting. That is the
No,
definition
that's
of
not
lack
what
of
I said I
transparency.
would not do. I did not. I never said I would not share.
In this meeting, you have said you will not share on this platform, which is our full body. You will not share what occurred in those meetings. So that is a lack of transparency.
That's not what I said. I said I will respond to your question and your email in an email. I'm not going to sit on this virtual meeting while you guys continue to come at me with more questions. No matter what I say, it's going to be another question, another question, another question. And
I think that's how little information.
I'm not going to spend all night long answering and allowing you to badger me.
You're not answering. That's the problem.
Well,
And
that's what Kyle is for.
No, I'm not going to spend. I spent up until 10 o'clock at the last meeting with you guys, and now it's 8:34. No. And I thought once we said before, you know what, when the time comes to cut off, you can leave. But I was trying to be respectful and courteous.
We should respect each other's time. And that's why we should probably try and avoid having to schedule special meetings when we don't get materials timely for our regular meetings.
All right. Thank you guys. Good night. I'm not going to keep going through this over and over.
Are you going to host next month's meeting?
Yes, I am.
All right, we need to talk about that. And
at
also
8:35. At 8:35.
You'll be okay.
Yeah, we need to talk about next month's meeting. And Commissioner Higgins and I have a special meeting that we've been requested to have by DDOT that we need to bring in front of the commission.
Didn't we just have DDOT at a meeting?
I said it's a special meeting.
Okay.
Then we got
It'll be a single member district meeting that we will be co-hosting with DDOT. So we, because of the bike lanes that border our SMDs.
right.
So, and we'll be sending that to you. That was something that we were supposed to do, but the project got put on hold. And now that they're back and they're ready, they need to come before the commission.
Okay.
Just like folks that are applying for zoning provisions.
Yeah,
They
and
have to go
I
back
want to
before-
I want to have this discussion with Commissioner Becerra and Commissioner Costello. One, because the
Because it's
bike
gonna
lane,
affect you as well.
it's going to affect them as well. It's going, it borders us per se. This is why we were the points of contact. But like Colleen said, she is the transportation chair, and also this bike lane stops right before Prita's district.
Right,
So,
and it pushes traffic to the north as well as to the east.
Of what?
So it will on Monroe.
yeah,
So
well,
it will affect all 4 SMDs. So they just sent us email yesterday or Friday.
yeah, what we've been in communications with them for a while, but
No, I'm talking about when they requested for us to co-host the meeting. That was
yeah,
Friday.
that was just the other day.
Okay,
That-
so we'll send that to you guys so you can take a look at that. Because I think you should be on, listening in if you can, so you'll see how to affect your SMDs as well.
Do you happen to know the name of the invited guests?
The invited guest right now is DDOT. DDOT wants the meeting, but I want to talk about inviting more guests. But we have to talk about that as a whole.
Okay,
But wait a minute, Rob, she's talking about inviting DDOT to her April meeting. No, we'll be putting a resolution for the April meeting, but the meeting that we're co-hosting is a single member district meeting.
Yeah. This has nothing to do with your meeting, Gail. I mean, this doesn't have to be on our April agenda. But I'm glad that came up because this goes to Prita. Prita, they do want to attend our full body meeting in May, and
Yes.
and here's the thing. We need to know whether or not we have space on your agenda for DDOT because you're the host and you get to make that decision. This is also why you need to be involved. And I told them that you will decide what your agenda will be in May.
Rob, can we please finish with this right now because it's getting late? So is anyone else going to be on the
wait a minute,
April?
Gail, I wasn't finished and so you deal with it, okay?
I tell you what, anybody that wants to be on the agenda, email me and we'll go from there.
All right, good riddance. All right, so where are we? So DDOT requested to be on the full body meeting, and that looks like May, Prita. So
Yes.